So I'm Thomas Bertani. I'm the founder of Oraclize. So Oraclize is a startup based in London, and we are trying to provide the best-in-class Oracle service. So we want to be part of the infrastructure. And the way I first got in touch with Ethereum was like 1 year ago. I was looking around for interesting projects. I'm involved in Bitcoin and blockchain in general since 2012, and Oraclize itself started as a project based on Bitcoin. So it took us like 6 months to figure out that there was an increasing demand for a project like ours on Ethereum, and this is when I found it and I started working on the integration. Ethereum defines itself as the world computer, and I think this is a very good definition because it gives the idea, it delivers the idea that you have single instances of each application running in a single worldwide network. So what this means in practice is that you can execute code in an auditable way, in a safe way, and you can enforce logics in a very safe and persistent way. So actually, one of the key features of Ethereum is interoperability, meaning that you can have many different services which do autonomously interact with each other. And so there is a single instance for each service, and it's not necessary, it does make sense to reinvent the wheel every time, because you can leverage existing services in an open manner. So this is one of the key features of Ethereum, and it enables each new application in the network to bring real and very concrete benefit. I think that Ethereum is by itself a complex technology that the average Joe doesn't necessarily need to understand, because of course my grandma can use Facebook, but she doesn't understand TCP/IP or how the internet works. It just works, and this means that you can have services built on the top of it which are very easy to use. But what Ethereum really enables for the final user is to disintermediate many applications and to automate processes which today are very prone to errors and to corruption or to huge fees. So if you think about insurance, it's already being disrupted even without the blockchain with peer-to-peer insurance. But of course there is still an intermediary, and this intermediary is still taking a fee. And you are hoping that the intermediary will always behave honestly to keep up the infrastructure in place. While with something like Ethereum, you can really build a peer-to-peer insurance with no intermediary and with a potentially unstoppable application which does leverage the transparency and the enforcement of a huge decentralized network. One of the inherent problems of decentralized networks is that you cannot have blockchain applications to reach out to the internet or to reach off-chain data. So if you want applications, useful applications, to be based on any data, like real-world data, then you need some form of connector which enables the application to reach out to those data. And this is what an Oracle system does. An Oracle, as for our definition, is the party in charge to connect blockchain applications with any data source. So a data source is any provider of data. So a provider of data can be, for example, Wolfram Alpha or Bloomberg, Thomson Reuters, or any other provider of web API or APIs in general. So in many cases, smart contracts need to leverage this data. And data, when you get rid of all the other intermediaries, you really have data being the escrow, because it's the data itself choosing where the funds has to go. Right? There is a huge security risk connected, because the Oracle could easily tamper with the data, because it's the party carrying the data from one context to the other. So we could potentially, the Oracle could potentially tamper with the data to gain a financial advantage. Like think about a gambling game which wants to get some external randomness, right? So we could always win simply by tampering the data. So this is why with our Oracle solution, what we provide is not just a result for a given query, but even what we call authenticity proof. So this authenticity proof is moving away the trust from us to external attestators, which are easier to trust than a small startup like ours. So the reasoning behind this is that you don't really want to trust a small startup or a small entity while providing data which could potentially move funds. But you want to lower the risk as much as you can, so that you can prove that the data is really coming from the data source with no alteration. And this is what honesty proofs or authenticity proofs are really about. We are reiterating again and again our service and getting better thanks to the feedback we continuously receive from the community. And there are many projects based on the mainnet and the testnet that are based on Oraclize. So we see ourselves as a part of the infrastructure, meaning that in order to have really useful application, you need to provide reliable data to blockchain applications. So we see ourselves as a very important piece for this infrastructure, this blockchain infrastructure to work. In fact, we are not integrated with Ethereum only, but even with other blockchains. So in general, what we provide is this Oracle service with integrations with specific blockchain technologies. So with Bitcoin, with Ethereum in different ways, of course. And at the moment, there are real-world applications, very interesting ones actually, which are based on Oraclize. And they range from, well, more simple cases are like gambling games, to things like flight delay insurance projects, or even more advanced ones.